Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to start learning how to execute jobs in remote machines. So far, we've been executing the scripts locally, which means that everything is being executed on our Jenkins container. But what happens if we have a remote machine and we want to execute these jobs that we have created, but remotely? For example, you have server 1 and server 2. And server 2 is a remote machine. The only one way that you have to connect to that server is by using SSH. But you want to run some jobs there. How do you do this? So to do this, you have two options. The first one is to create another virtual machine as your remote host, and then you can simply connect Jenkins to your virtual machine, a different one. And the second option, which is the one that we're going to be using and the one that I recommend you for learning, is to create another Docker container. So for example, in this case, we have one container, which is the Jenkins container. You could think as this as a pretty small virtual machine. And now what we're going to do is to create another container, which is going to be something like another small or tiny virtual machine. This is not a virtual machine, it's a container. But we're going to create another container which is going to have an SSH service. So we can connect from the Jenkins container to the new container that we're going to create. And the cool part of it is that you can create this in the same virtual machine without the need of creating a new virtual machine. That's pretty cool. So okay, the first thing that we need to do is to create a folder to save the files that we're going to create for this little project. So let's say that I'm going to create a small container using CentOS 7. So I'm just going to create a directory here, and I'm just gonna change directory to that directory. Okay, here am I. This is empty, as you can see here. And to create a service or a container in Docker, you need an image. Do you remember that we downloaded the Jenkins image? Okay, now we're going to create our own image using a Docker file. So a Docker file is nothing else but a file to create an image. So in this way, we can easily create images and then create a container from that image. So let's create this file. And in Docker, the first instruction to create an image is to say what distribution we want to take as a base. So in this case, we're going to pick CentOS as a base for this small container. And then we're going to run a command. So don't worry, this is Docker syntax. It's pretty simple, as you can see here. The first instruction means from which operating system you want, from which distribution. Second instruction can be a run. You can do as many runs as you want. But in this case, what we are going to do in this run is simply to install an open SSH server. And how do we do this? If you are familiar with CentOS, you will know that this is as simple as typing "yum install open SSH server," and this is going to install that service. Anyways, if you don't know how to do it, you can always go to Google and type, for example, SSH server for CentOS, Google a little bit, and then you are going to have the same answer that I am giving you here. So as you can see, they are suggesting exactly the same thing. So cool. Let's keep with our file. Now we can create another run to define another thing that we want to do. And now what we're going to do is to create a user in this small distribution. So for example, we can say like user add, and we're going to add a user. This is a Linux command for adding users. So we say like remote user, and we can pass a lot of instruction using the ampersand symbol and the backslash to instruct that we're still in the same line. So we hit enter and we can keep typing things. So okay, we already created the user. Now it's time to give this user a password. So let's give it a password. We're going to give a flat password because this is a test environment, so don't worry. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, the most popular password in this course. And in Linux, you can create the password without interactive input by doing password, the name of the user that you wanna change the password, and then you say dash dash standard input, and then this user is going to have this as a password. So pretty cool. The second thing that we're going to do is that we are going to create the home directory for this user. Normally, home directories for users are automatically created under /home. So we can do like make dir /home / the name of the user that is in here. Then you do slash, and we want to create a folder which is going to be .ssh. In the next video, I'll tell you why. But for now, we're going to create this folder because we're going to store some configurations there in order to connect from Jenkins to this machine. Cool. If we want this folder to work correctly, we need to give this folder certain permissions, which is change mode 700, and then we pass the full path for the directory that we want to change the permissions. So this is an SSH requirement. Don't worry. It says like, hey, if you want to store data here, please make sure that no one but you can write in this folder. And we accomplish that using this command. So here we're saying that the user, remote user, is the only one capable to write and read things in here. 00 means that no one else can do anything else. So this is pretty good for this video. Remember, a quick recap. We're starting from CentOS, which is another official image from Docker. Then we're installing OpenSSH. Then we're creating a user. We're giving a password for this user. And then we're creating a sample directory, which is called .ssh, for storing information about the connections. And finally, we ensure that this user is the only one allowed to write data in this folder. So this is it for this video. See you in the next lesson.